pleased to receive Corlett Letlojane, Executive Director of the Human Rights Institute of South Africa. She came to Geneva all the way from South Africa to speak at UPR Info's pre-session on South Africa that we just organized today, and she was able to share with delegates the concerns she has and potential questions and recommendations for the upcoming review of South Africa in May. So Corlett, thank you for being here, thank you for coming for this pre-session, and thank you for this interview. Can you please start by explaining a little bit about the Human Rights Institute of South Africa?
Thank you very much for inviting my organization and giving us the opportunity to be part of this important process. The Human Rights Institute of South Africa is an organization that promotes and protects human rights in South Africa, and we're doing work at the African Commission on Human and People's Rights. We monitor domestication and enforcement of those instruments that South Africa has ratified at regional level to ensure that people receive remedies when they encounter violations of human rights. And we are now participating and playing an important role at UN level because there are many instruments that our government has ratified because it is committed to human rights. However, those instruments cannot end up in paper only. We want them to be reflected or to respond to the situations of human rights that our people are facing.
So in the framework of your engagement at the UN level, how have you been involved in the UPR process so far for this second cycle?
The first cycle, I must say that there was minimum. There was lack of information. There was no proper participation of the civil society. Very fragmented organization attempted to work together and make a submission. But during the second cycle, the government made some little attempts to involve the civil society. My organization played a leading role by involving organizations such as People Oppose Human Abuse, Consortium of Refugees and Migrants in South Africa, Civicars, Center for Human Rights, and Coalition of African Lesbians. Together we produced a submission raising our concerns about the role of the government, for example, with the 22 recommendations which were suggested by the peer states, and we also organized meetings with the government, for example, the Department of International Relations with the South African Human Rights Commission, just for the government, to come and address and talk with the civil society. What mechanism, what steps are they taking with regard to recommendations, and for the civil society to make input onto that. I think that for us, it was the best opportunity for the government to correct the mistakes that had happened during the first cycle. I think it was to provide them with that opportunity to improve.
Because they were not consulting so much with society during the first UPR, so
yes.
This is a occasion for
it
that.
was a very, very good occasion for them because now we had indicated to them we are aware and we were unhappy about how the process unfolded, and then can they correct. However, the government still to work very, very hard in terms of improving its consultation. It needs to have a very good process where they can identify a plan of action. Without a plan of action about how the outcome becomes very effective, it becomes very, very difficult for them as well to monitor themselves or to make progress in terms of changing the situation of human rights on the ground. So we did that submission, and right now the colleagues work together as well from South Africa to prepare for this meeting where we highlighted.
So at this pre-session, you were able to highlight what was contained in your submissions. You also provided a list of recommendations to states.
Yes, there are about 7 or 8 critical recommendations which we want the states, to assist the government, for example, to address. We want them to continue dialogue with the civil society. That needs to be increased, and the UPR is an important process where the civil society, national human rights institution work together. The government on its own, it won't be able, because it needs to hear what is happening on the ground from the civil society. We've got the answers.
So tell me, Corlett, what do you expect from this pre-session? You were able to talk to delegates. What did you expect coming from it, and follow-up measures with this?
Well, I expect all what you've put forward to the delegates to use it to lobby on our behalf to the government of South Africa to improve from the first and the second cycles. There has been some development we want them to excel, because once South Africa is committed to a promotion of human rights, it's coming back from apartheid, and it cannot be seen to be picking up, developing, some of the mechanisms which were existing in the past. And we also will want to go back home to give a report back about the process, and for us with the government to continue in dialogue in promoting. We will be sharing the information with government to tell them about their role, about our participation in this process, and the recommendations that we brought forward.
Great. Well, thank you very much, Corlett, for sharing this with us, and we'll be happy to help you out throughout the process. Thank you again for this interview and for participating in the pre-session. We hope you found it useful, and we'll be collaborating more in the future.
Thank you very much. We've really learned a lot, and this is a very important process, as I've mentioned, because it involves people. Ordinary person's life gets changed, and for us to acquire such skills that we have got today, it really makes our organization to move to another level, and we will be looking forward to working with these organizations and the member states that were here. Thank you very much for the process.
Thank you.